What's up guys, it's Chad at Alldogs Offroad, and today we're going to be swapping some Parabolic leaf springs onto my 2022 Nissan Frontier. I'm currently set up with factory leaf springs with our 3-leaf add-a-leaf right now, and have recently added a rooftop tent and some bed bars. I'll be also adding a little bit more permanent weight down the road, and it's kind of exceeding what the add-a-leaf was designed for. Our add-a-leaf is designed to handle up to an additional 250 pounds of load carry capacity, and our parabolic springs are set up for right about 500 pound additional load carry capacity. So come along, we're going to show you how to do it. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to get the truck up off the ground, so we're going to put it on our 2-post lift. If you're doing this in your driveway, you'll need a jack and a pair of jack stands more than likely. Now that we got the truck in the air, we're going to take the wheels off. We have the wheels off the truck now. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to put some jack stands under the axle. When we disconnect the U-bolts and the shocks from the axle, we will need stands under there to support it. We have the truck in the air and we have jack stands under the axle, and the axle is sitting lightly on the jack stands. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to disconnect the rear shocks and also the U-bolts. Your rear shocks should come apart pretty easy. U-bolts will sometimes corrode, so it might help to put a little bit of penetrating oil on the threads of the U-bolt prior to taking them off. Whew. Whew. We have the U-bolts disconnected and we have the rear shocks disconnected. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to loosen and remove your forward eye nut and bolt, and then your rear shackle. On my truck it's Titan swapped, and I have an aftermarket lift shackle, so it will be a little bit different than a guy that's not working with the Titan swap vehicle. Now that everything is disconnected, you should be able to swing the leaf spring out and put your new one in. Now, because I will be using an aftermarket shackle, I have to transfer some bushings and a sleeve over. On a factory Nissan application, your shackle is kind of a one piece, and what you'll do is you'll just kind of slide it in. You'll see that the parabolic leaf springs are right here. They're a little used. These were on Kyle's truck for a period of time, But he decided to swap them out because he wasn't running permanent weight on the back of his Titan swapped 2nd Gen Frontier. So these are gently used. We have the new leaf spring in place. We're going to put the forward eye bolt in, and we're also going to put basically we're going to connect the rear shackle. We have our shackle connected, and we have our front bolt run through the front eye. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to get our U-bolts loosely in place. On the 3rd Gen Frontiers, you have your bump stop is actually relocated up to the frame. On the 2nd Gens, the bump stop is retained by your U-bolts. So you basically want to reassemble, in the order that you disassembled. For me, there's a little crash plate that goes on top of the leaf spring, and then the U-bolts kind of retain that. Now that the U-bolts are in place, we're going to connect the rear shock, and at the moment everything is loose. We haven't torqued, so basically we're getting everything in position, and then once everything is attached, then we will torque to spec. We have everything loosely put back together. Now we're just going to torque to spec. We will put a link in the description for the reference that we use on the Club Frontier forums. So we'll do that right now. So we have the truck just about all buttoned up. There are 2 bolts that we still need to torque. Your forward eye leaf spring bolts, you really want to torque with the weight of the vehicle on it. So they're snug right now, but they're not torqued down. So truck is on the ground. We're going to torque those 2 bolts, and then we're going to take it for a spin. So we're in the truck right now. This is going to be technically our second test drive. I just took a test drive really quickly with a GoPro attached to the spring so that you could see it doing its thing. I couldn't drive very fast because I was worried about the GoPro, you know, kind of ditching. But even just babying it, one thing you notice is Taylor's not wearing her seatbelt.
So many rules.
Now she is. One thing you notice right off the bat is that the ride is much smoother, much more buttery, even though there's increased load carry capacity. So I noticed that it's firmer than the multi-leaf ellipticals that I took off were. It just has less resistance before it kind of does its thing. And one of the nice things about parabolic leaf springs is they give a little bit more of a linear rate because there's no interleaf friction. So we're gonna just gun it a little bit. It feels amazing. I've been wanting to do this for a while on my truck, but I haven't had the time to because things have been so busy at Alldogs. So I'm really happy to finally get to do it. You get a little bit more stability turning too, so I would have noticed a little bit more body roll at that turn right there. Yeah. I like it. It better matches the front end too. With the multi-leaf ellipticals, I think a 550 pound coil would have been better to run up front, but I'm running 600s. The truck as a whole now, with the firmer rear leaf spring, it feels more balanced front to rear. And I also lost a little bit of rear height when I added the rooftop tent and the rack. So I was what you'd consider dead level, and that's not really my preference. It kind of makes overhood visibility a little tricky. So it's much better now. I think the next video with this truck will probably be a rear diff breather modification. That'll probably be next week. I'm sure that Taylor's got some Samurai videos coming up soon. So again, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and do all that sort of stuff. And we'll see you next time.